Forbes named me one of the top paid AI consultants, and today I'm here to provide you with a little bit of pay transparency, just to make this place a little bit less murky than it is right now. So let's talk about how much I charge to build an agent for my clients. I'm going to try to provide as much insight as I possibly can, but my pricing is based on a tiering system. And so let's start with the foundational pricing and the basic level agent build. So I am in a basic level connecting more than 2 cloud-based tools. And I'm charging $350 an hour for this. Now, cloud-based tools, I'm talking email, I'm talking CRM, I'm talking Slack. If I'm connecting more than 2 tools and they are cloud-based tools, like the ones that I just named for an example, $350 an hour is what I'm charging. These are higher leveraged, lower risk connections because they're already in your SaaS environment, meaning the APIs are secured and the rollback is already straightforward and structured, which basically just means I can build fast, but still build properly. And since I'm charging $350 per hour per tool, that's $350 times 3, which is giving you $1,050. That's what I would charge per hour for that specific agentic build. One other thing to mention is that would include the design architecture of it, the actual build, and the testing. And I always include a 30-day grace period of maintaining the agent and also iterating it. So even after we deploy it and they're using it, it's out of testing, I always allow 30 days just to have me on standby if there's different iterations, if they decide to change the way that they are manually doing a process. Those types of changes I'm there for within a 30-day grace period to iterate automatically. Okay, so tier 2 is for my monolithic on-prem systems. So these are the systems that are critical systems. So they're going to need more risk evaluation, more testing, and also more governance, which naturally means more people, more change management, more communication, more documentation. I'm charging $425 per tool I'm connecting per hour for my monolithic on-prem critical systems. So an example of this would be if I'm going to create an agent for creating order tickets and automatically pushing out summaries from different ERPs, but they're monolithic. Like they are on-prem, critical, but very brittle systems that I'm connecting because there is a higher risk involved and the business is obviously critically relying on this. I'm charging $425 per tool. Okay, so an example of this would be we created an agent for migrating a CRM from a legacy CRM to a cloud-based CRM. So it was moving all the data, but while it was moving the data, it was manually regression testing the data, which would take a team months, if not sometimes years, to actually be able to do that and consolidate. So a lot of the times that I'm participating in this type of an automation or agent build, it's because a larger business acquired a smaller business and they are consolidating their tech stack and they don't want to be operating in 2 different CRMs for obvious reasons, but they don't have the resources to halt business processes and have their folks manually pull data and check it as they're pulling it over. And that's a great use case for an agent. But again, it is touching on critical business use cases and operations where there's just naturally going to be more questions, more scarcity, more risk introduced. The blast radius of the change impact is just higher, so I'm charging more. Okay, so aside from the actual designing of the architecture, the building, the deploying, the testing, the maintaining for 30 days, the rest of the way that I price my offerings differs tremendously, but I would say the other core piece that I want to vocalize a little bit more, just again to normalize it and provide a little bit more insight, is the initial discovery. So when I get pulled into a client work or a potential prospect at this point in time, what I like to do is I like to start off with a discovery workshop where I will come in and I will work with no more than 5 executives. And I will have a 2-hour workshop with those executives where we're actually going to pull up a mirror board and we're going to mind map out the use cases and we're going to put them into quadrants and we're going to decide what is worth the risk and what is worth the ROI. Like that is going to tell me immediately during that first workshop, what is their comfortability with change? Because if an executive is saying we have to do AI because our board is forcing us to and we feel pressure to, that is not a good enough reason for me to come in and implement changes. I need to know what their comfortability of change actually looks like for myself before I go and take their word for it, because ultimately they are the leaders. And so when I start to build automations and agents within their ecosystem alongside of their teams, of their people, I need to make sure that they're gonna have my back, right? Like if I am not getting access to a tool that I need access to, if I have some project managers that are internal to the company that are assisting with the scoping and the deliverables, or just managing the communications, I need to make sure that it is enough of a priority for that executive to funnel that down to the appropriate chain, and that their messaging is going to stay consistent. Is AI just a priority today, or is it a priority tomorrow, a year from now, etc.? And so how I scope those strategy and discovery calls is one of two ways. Again, it's the executives in a room for 2 hours, or it is the show and tell, where I am showing the art of what's possible. I am demoing Claude Cowork and Claude Code and giving them 3 use cases in a 1-hour forum, and essentially just being like a glorified, I'd say like sales rep, except like I'm not selling the AI tools. I'm just selling like the art of what's possible with said AI tools, and I'm getting them really excited. Sometimes it's better to do it that way if you're dealing with an organization that just had a lot of change and they're just bogged down and they don't necessarily know until they've seen some ideas, or like they physically have seen that flow happen in real time in front of them, to start to actually get the wheels turning of like how they could be using it in their own companies. And that oftentimes when I price my packaging discovery calls like that, I will charge for up to 5 executives. Again, like depending on virtual or in person, I will charge anywhere from $2,500 to $5,000 for that 1-2 brainstorming session and mirror mapping. It depends on how much work's involved, who are the executives, a couple different variables, but that's my sliding scale pricing for that initiative. For the art of what's possible, again, virtual and in person, and depending on the large language model and the use cases, because they do offer them a category of use cases they can choose from for me to show. Depending on what they choose, it can be anywhere from $1,000 to $2,500, but I try to keep that one pretty low, just because I do sometimes think that they don't know how to work with AI consultants because they haven't had to in the past, and it's hard to articulate the ask if they don't really know what it is yet. So I try to move through that one with a little bit more flexibility and like leading with curiosity, because oftentimes that ends up converting a lot quicker as opposed to doing the 2-hour intensive workshop. That one, selfishly, I enjoy more because it sets me up for a better alignment a lot faster. But I would say from a conversion standpoint, the art of what's possible definitely converts a lot quicker, because they come in, they don't feel stressed out because there's no expectation on them. I'm holding all of the weight. I'm showing, I'm talking, I'm telling. And then oftentimes right after that workshop, the executives are either ready to roll out an enterprise license for an AI tool that they needed to see me demo and show them, and they go ahead and get the licenses. We bring myself in and my team in to actually facilitate that change, and they use that discovery session to like prove that that enterprise license is worth it for the company. Or coming out of that workshop, we then go into like a more intensive departmental focus, where each department will say like what their use cases are and like air their grievances, and then I'll take all of that and roll it up to the CEO or the VP and say, okay, like let's prioritize what use case we do. And also like, is it an automation? And then we move to an agent, or does it make sense in this case to add an agent here? So that's my pricing. Hopefully it added a little bit more pay transparency. Let me know if you have any more questions in the comments and I will get to them.